Being here on a hot Friday afternoon. And I believe we are turning it over to Mayor Keller to MC things and kick us off.
All right. Okay, well, good afternoon. Oh, look at that. Off to a great start. Man, whose mic is this? I got it. So sorry. I mean, I either broke it or it was broken, so. All right, I think we're good to go. So let's just do quick. Can you all hear me okay? Sound good? Okay, all right. Okay, so we have tons of amazing special guests here who made this project happen. And so we're gonna hear from a lot of these folks, and they're also gonna acknowledge, nearly a dozen plus different individuals who've played all sorts of helpful roles in this. But first and foremost, we are announcing essentially a new concept and a new location of a young adult facility for those young adults in need right here at the former San Mateo Inn. And this particular location obviously used to be a hotel. It is not going to be going forward. There's a host of informed, specific youth in need changes that we're going to make to this facility. But this represents something much, much bigger for the city of Albuquerque and really the state of New Mexico, which is that about 2 to 3 years ago, we all decided that we have to be much more aggressive when it comes to providing places for our young people in need. And so for us, we're trying to do that in multiple fronts, but one of them was essentially having a form of a home for youth that are in need right here in the city, also that we can control and get done as fast as we can. And so I think we all cooked up this idea, I'm gonna say in almost less than 2 years, specifically at this site. Because whenever we have these plans and we work on these visions, there's always a little bit of a rub with like, well, where are we actually gonna do it? How are we actually gonna get it done? And we have lots of well-intentioned design and aspirations for everything that our city needs, including this particular gap. But we had to make it work. And we actually had to find a physical location to do it. And we had to pay for it. And we had to raise money for it. And we had to close a real estate transaction for it. And that took a whole lot of effort from a lot of the folks that you're gonna hear from today. And so for us, we wanna have a youth housing continuum that is housed right here at this location. And it be a part of also family housing navigation that we're running, of course, out of the gateway. But we want to connect these facilities but still have a separate and special place for our youth, and that's what this is all about. We know this has been an identified need for decades in Albuquerque, and we also know that we need more. But we've got to start somewhere, and we are doing that today. That's what this is all about. It is a tangible manifestation of those desires and those goals and those plans, but it's real because we closed on this property. So that's right, round of applause. This one's ours. And as with any property, there's all sorts of construction that awaits us, planning that has to be done. We will talk about that all the time in the future. But today we celebrate the first step, and I would argue the hardest step, to actually making this real. And so I'm gonna speak a little bit in between each of the individuals, but what I wanna do is emphasize that this truly was a community effort. Federal folks involved, state folks involved, and of course our city councilors who aren't even, they don't even represent this area. But you know what they care about is taking care of our unhoused youth. And that has nothing to do with a geography, right? That's a citywide issue. And so council stepped up time and time again on this, so did our state legislators, and so did our congresswoman. So let me introduce our congresswoman, and I will just say that I was talking with her, and you know, time and time again, she says it's just doing her job. But the difference is she's really good at her job. And she picks a project and she gives us a meaningful amount of money, emphasis on the word meaningful, to actually move the needle to get things done. She brings all that together, and so we are grateful for her leadership. Our Congresswoman, Melanie Stansbury.
Thank you. All right, well, good afternoon, everyone. I'm gonna wait for these sirens to pass. If you needed any indication that we need these services here, Good afternoon, everyone. I am Congresswoman Melanie Stansbury, and I am deeply proud to represent New Mexico's 1st Congressional District. And I am so excited to join the city, our city councilors, the mayor, our state representative today in announcing a huge project for Albuquerque and for New Mexico to stem the tide of our young people who are experiencing homelessness and the challenges of remaining housed, especially under the current economic conditions. I have to say that this project truly represents the best of leadership in our community. It is a bipartisan project that was spearheaded by members of our city council on both sides of the aisle and the amazing city councilors who are standing behind me, from my city councilor, Renee Grout in the Heights, to Brooke Bassan, who represents the other side of the Heights, to Tammy Feeblecorn, who is the city councilor who represents this area. Now, at the end of the day, what we know is so many New Mexico families are challenged, and especially our young people here in the heart of our community. And it is a sad reality that we have to face, that there are literally at any given time up to 2,000 young people in our city who are directly experiencing housing emergencies and homelessness. This campus, which I helped to secure the federal funding of $1.5 million to help make this building a reality, will provide not only the city, but the state's very first youth, homeless, and housing campus for our young people. Let me repeat that. Our city's very first campus to support our young people. If that doesn't give you chills, I don't know what would. As leaders in our community, it is our job to help our communities and to answer the call. And I think what is so extraordinary about this project, as the mayor just pointed out, is that it went from being a concept to a reality in less than 2 years. And that only happens when there is leadership at every level, from the state and local all the way to the federal. But I want to take a moment to talk about the significance of what this campus will mean for our communities. Some of you have heard my own story before and know that as a native New Mexican who grew up right here in Albuquerque, I grew up in a family that struggled to make ends meet. And like many working families in this city and in this state, even as my single mom held multiple jobs, had her own small business, she sometimes fell short in being able to provide all of the needs that we had. And in fact, there were occasions when we also couch surfed, and by the grace of God and the support of family members in the community, were able to survive, including a summer that I spent at a family friend's, living in a tent in a backyard. But for many of our young people, they don't have a support system. Things are happening at home. They're unable to return to the places and spaces that from where they came. And so it's essential that we have a transitional living space for those young people to land, for them to access services, for them to get back on their feet, and for them to realize the opportunity and potential. So this campus is going to serve up to 120 young adults each year, and each of those young people will be able to stay in this renovated property for up to 90 days. And through the city and other partners' resources, will be able to receive a whole set of wraparound services. And I just want to say in conclusion that we all know that young people are our future leaders. Our doctors, our drivers, our teachers, our future business owners, and yes, even our future members of Congress. And all they need sometimes is just that missing piece in their puzzle and a little bit of a push in the right direction. And so I am so proud and so honored to be able to celebrate this huge success here in our community, and to envision all of the young lives that will be transformed by the time that they spend on this campus. And I say thank you to our mayor, to our city council, to my State House Representative Pamela Herndon, and of course to the incomparable city director of these services, who has brought his passion and expertise to transforming the lives of New Mexicans. So thank you very much, and thank you, Mayor.
Thank you so much, Congresswoman. And as she mentioned, it takes leadership at all levels. And we want to hear from a couple of our city councilors. And two things that I want to mention. First, for fun for our city councilors, notice transit safety. See, they exist. They work. They're out there. If the media also is interested, yes, we have transit safety. They're behind you. Look, I think as a whole, I would say this. I think it's important for our city to understand that in many ways that you don't always read about in the newspaper or other areas, the administration, the city council work very hard on priority projects together. And so those might not come out as much in a city council meeting, but I think even this week, I think Renee and Tammy and I have been this is our second project of demonstrating that we are addressing the serious problems together in Albuquerque. So that was about a hotel renovation up on Eubank. This is about youth and a whole campus for them. But also we opened our ACS building today. I can't do any of these without council, and council can't do them without a mayor. And I just emphasize that it shows that we actually do work together each and every day on the big problems facing our city. And you can literally see the results this week. So in this case, this is also Councilor Feeblecorn's district. And so she's going to kick off our round robin with councilors. And I will say this about her. She came in a couple years ago and sort of volunteered for this. She's like, no, I want to deal with homelessness in my district, and I will take on that burden. That takes a lot of courage. And so we very much appreciate her stepping up and kind of saying, bring it. I'm ready for big challenges and big solutions. Councilor Feeblecorn.
Thank you, Mayor. Thanks, everybody. Thank you all for being here. I'm really excited about this project. This is one of the first projects that I started working on when I took office. And I want to thank Councilor Grout and Councilor Bassan for stepping up and saying, the three of us can do this. And look at it, we did. I want to spend a few minutes talking about why we need this. We have a large number of 18 to 25-year-olds in our community who are experiencing homelessness. 2.5 years ago, that number was estimated at around 2,000. It could be much higher by now. And it is unconscionable to me that we have young people who are just starting their lives who are dealing with such adversity. We need to be supporting them, helping them to get back on track, get back into jobs, finish their careers. Whatever they want to do is open to them as long as we provide them the boost that they need. I want to talk a little bit about why here. Why do we need this here? This is in the heart of District 7. I'm very, very proud that this project will be right in the middle of my district and literally a stone's throw from my house. This is very exciting to me. But it's even more exciting for the young people who will get to live here because, as you can see, it's on a transit line. They'll be able to get anywhere within the city that they want to go. It's very near lots of different job opportunities. Thank you. It's near a lot of different job opportunities, so they can actually be here and be getting job assistance, getting a job, getting there. It's also very close to UNM and CNM, where a large percentage of our unhoused youth are literally going to college as they're unhoused. Imagine that burden for them. If we can get them into this facility, they can finish their education, they can move on. And it's also around a lot of fun things to do. I think it's really important that when we're putting together a shelter for unhoused people of any age, but particularly young people, we do it where they're able to access fun, right? We want them to be part of our community. So for all those reasons, I'm just incredibly proud that this is finally happening. And I do want to quickly thank some of the folks that were not able to be here today for their generous donation. Obviously, Congresswoman Stansberry and Representative Herndon have given a lot of money, but other state legislators have given a great deal of money over the last 2 years when I've gone and asked them for it every session. And so I just want to say thank you to Representative Figueroa, Sariñana, Chavez, and Dixon. They all gave over $200,000 each. Senator Stewart gave over $250,000. Senator Tallman gave $300,000. And Senator Ivy Soto gave almost $500,000 to get this project moving. And so without all of those different sources of money, we would not be here today. So again, a huge thanks to all of our local, state, and federal supporters that are really helping us make sure that young people in Albuquerque have a fair shot and have all the support they need. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Counselor. And when we do projects like this has happened with almost every major project that we've tried to do. And there's sort of two stories. These are ideas that have been around for a long time, and we think they're good ideas. Having this facility is certainly a good example of that. So is the Gateway, so is C&M at the rail yards, and so is a pool. These are all old ideas that this team at City Council and in our administration are finally getting done. That's what we're seeing a lot of this summer. And part of that is because we have support from all across the city. And so next up, I want to bring up a counselor who, when I called her and I asked, I said, look, like every other project, we're short money. We were short money, literally, was it a week ago or 2 weeks ago? I mean, truth be told, we were short like $3 million. We couldn't even do this today. If it were not for all the counselors, but also Counselor Brooke Bassan stepping up and saying, yeah, you know what? I have my priorities, but this one needs to get done right now. And that's exactly what she did. So Counselor Bassan, come on up.
Thank you all very much, and thanks to the magnificent team that's worked on this. And I'm going to keep it short because they already said all of the important things, but you know, we worked with stakeholders. This is something that was not necessarily our vision. It's a need that we knew we needed to fill. It's a gap that was pointed out to us, but it's about a lot of the people in the community that actually work with some of the youth and the young adults that we're talking about who have experience knowing what we need to do, rather than I don't know what we need to do to help with them. But what I can do is help put some of the resources and leverage some of that opportunity in order to be able to provide more opportunity to those who do the work day in and day out to actually help improve our community. And I'm grateful to all of them. So thanks to this team, but also thank you for the people who are really putting in the blood, sweat, and tears every day.
All right, thank you so much, Counselor. Okay, now we also, again, representative of how counselors from all over the city are acknowledging and supporting projects that are important to the city, even if they're not in their district. And I want to bring up Counselor Renee Grout because this is our second time this week. You know, she told me she wants to do what she can to help the unhoused in our city, period. And she's walking the walk. We did that a couple of days ago at the old Sure Stay, and we're doing it here today with her help. Counselor Renee Grout.
Thank you, Mayor. I am so thrilled to be here today. This has been a dream of mine since I took office, since I learned in February of 22. This report, it was the Comprehensive Needs Assessment of Young People Experiencing Homelessness in Bernalillo County. So this report that the stakeholders came together with and showed us that there was a real need. And I talked to my policy analyst and I said, this is what I want to work on. I want to help these young people. A lot of these people, these young folks, didn't have parents like we have growing up, teaching us life skills, how to take care of ourselves and how to be self-sufficient. We need to help these people. A lot of these young folks come out of CYFD, out of foster care, and they haven't had the nurturing that we were so blessed to have. So when this came out and we learned about it, I was like, this is what I want to do. So in March of 22, I went to Washington, D.C., and I met with the Congress delegation from New Mexico. And Congresswoman Stansberry said, I see the need too. I'm on board. Councilor Feeblecorn and Bassan also said, let's do this. We need to do this. And then what was really important to us was to make sure that we were getting it right. So then we, in Council Services, we brought together a team and we did a 2-day charrette, come together kind of meeting. And they created this vision of a future facility for young adults experiencing homelessness. And so this is kind of a roadmap that we would like this facility to be like. It's a huge list, and I think that the administration is going to make it happen for us. We're going to make them do that. But once we got this together and shared it, and the administration came on board with us too, they were part of this design, then we started looking for a place. Like Councilor Feeblecorn said, we wanted it to be part in the city. We want these children, these young adults, to feel useful, needed, and wanted. And so this is the perfect location. They're in the middle of the city. They're in the heart of the city. They're close to transportation, close to jobs. There's even schools over here if they want to get their GEDs. And then again, they can get to CNM and UNM easily. We want them to feel loved. We want them to feel wanted. And we want to give them the resources, the help, so that they can be self-sufficient and feel good about themselves and be part of our community and contribute to it. Councilor Feeblecorn mentioned the numbers. We don't always see these young people on the streets. They might be couch surfing. They might be in cars. They're kind of invisible. And so it's unbelievable how many there really are. My daughter is a teacher, and she knows families that children are sleeping in cars, or they are sleeping in hotels, or there's just a real tremendous need. So we need to help these people. We also, what was really important to us is that the facility that we found was not close to where there is real problems. And so again, we feel that this is a good, safe place, and we are giving them an opportunity to succeed. Young people 18 to 25 are at a tricky age, and where they need to, where they aren't quite ready to test their independence, but they still need some support. Challenges like homelessness, housing insecurity, addiction, mental illness, and a lack of family support can lead young people, to dangerous situations where they are abused, trafficked, or exploited. While we can't replace a loving family, we can give these young people a safe space where they can they can begin to find their own way. Buying this property is the start of the city's effort to provide that safe space for them. And I want to thank everybody who has been here, has participated in the design charrette that Council hosted in the summer of 22. Quinn Donay and Brooke Tafoya, Abigail Stiles, Rachel Miller, Don Marie Emilio, they all were part of that design. The report, it came out in September 22, and it is the roadmap that we want to have this facility to look like. This space will be designed around the programming necessary to spark a real transformation in the lives of our most vulnerable young people, and I know that they're going to succeed with our help. I also want to just finish by saying I am just overwhelmed with with gratitude for the help from the federal level, the state level, and the city level. We can do this when we do it together. Doing this in 2 years, finding this space, this is just the beginning. We have a long way to go, but this is a huge, huge first step. And now we can begin to see the end of the beginning for these people. And I'm really excited to be here. Thank you.
Okay, I know we have a little bit of extended program today, but as Councillor Grout mentioned, there's just so many folks that made this happen, and as our Congressman mentioned, this is the first of its kind in the city of Albuquerque, if I don't know about beyond, but we'll just go with that. And so this warrants actually a lot of storytelling, and so we have some more stories for you. And our next speaker really reflects the state interest story. As you heard from our councillor, there was at least half a dozen representatives and state house members who put funding into this. They also don't even live in this area, but they want to help these particular kids in need. And so, or young adults, I should say. And so we want to essentially have our Representative Herndon speak on all their behalf. Come on up, Representative Herndon.
Well, thank you, Mayor Keller. I am Representative Pamela Herndon, and one of the things that we do in this state is we say we're going to grow our own. And this is an example of the first step showing that we are walking the walk and talking the talk. So we have heard today that this new facility that we have is for individuals who are ages 18 to 25. And one of the things that we want to do is to make sure that after the 90 days are up, that they are able to stay here, that we are there for the next step. And you heard that we're very close to CNM. One of the things that CNM is doing is working on making sure that our young people are getting trained in the trades. And that's one place that we have a deficit in this state. And as a state legislature, we want to make sure that we are training our young people in the trades. So I'm excited about that. I'm excited about what CNM is doing for women in the trades. I don't know how many women will be in this facility, but one thing for sure, they won't be here for long, because this is not a handout, this is a hand, because what we're doing, remember, we are growing our own. And we're so glad that you're here to help make sure that everybody knows about that. And thank you.
Well spoken, Representative. Thank you so much. And in terms of the helping hands that put this together, we do want to create some space for the folks at the city who've made this happen and who are going to oversee it going forward. And a couple of things I do want to share. You know, Quinn, who's here, used to work at the city, and I remember I asked like what we should do in the future, and you said youth shelter. You might have used different words than that, but and I actually always remembered that, and I think I said yes, we should. And but I doubted that we could actually get it done, because it was before we had this trio of counselors and these other representatives and our congresswoman behind it. And so in many ways, this was your vision. And so congratulations on that. Now, to talk a little bit more about this, also before I bring them up, this is really one of the first projects, not the only, but one of the first, where it has really been guided by our new CAO. So I want to acknowledge Samantha Single. This is from start to finish really one of hers. And so round of applause for Samantha getting it done. There'll be many more in the future, I know. But the person day to day on this is, of course, for, you know, construction stuff, it's DMD. So Jennifer Turner's here. She's officially a director now, by the way. You didn't see the memo. So thank you, Jennifer and Team D&D, and of course, Real Property, which is the ones who actually buy this. But running this and thinking about housing, health, and homelessness every day is our director, Gilbert Ramirez.
All right, thank you, Mayor. Thank you all who have spoken, who also have come together to make this a reality. I have had the honor to not only work in this arena as a social worker, a school social worker for the last 23 years, knowing what are the challenges of our young people and what they need. And not only that, what are the challenges of young people who are in institutional care, and then they move out of that care and the safety net they have is kind of pulled out from underneath them. And they're left to kind of flourish. I think we can all recall when we turned 18, that was just a year change, but were we ready to be full adults? Unfortunately, sometimes those safety nets are not there. And this is one step forward to make sure that we have one more continuum for that care. In our department under health, housing, and homelessness, it is a continuum, right? It's everything from early childhood development all the way through teenagers, young adults, and making sure they're not entering those adult systems. I'd be remiss if I didn't acknowledge exactly what the mayor just said. We have providers out here in the community who've been doing this a long time, whether it's through emergency sheltering, transitional living, placing with vouchers into housing, and they were the ones that drove this. 2 years ago, I had the privilege as a deputy to step in and be part of a subcommittee of the Homeless Coordinating Council, and that was the Youth Housing Continuum Subcommittee. And we met all the time talking about this issue, talking about we really haven't done the survey to see what is the need. I appreciate Councilor Grout recognizing that report, which I have the executive summary too that I brought. This really was the driving plan for what we could do differently, and it started the foundation for us to move forward and get this done. And then you saw the rally, because it takes finances, it takes those in those places. So as the director of the department, all I wish to say is that, you know, I've been working with young people a long time in this community, and in Albuquerque and in our state, there's no lack of talent in our young people, but there's been a huge lack of resources for the nourishment of that talent. And this is one huge first step to make sure that we are fertilizing that, cultivating it, and removing one huge obstacle, which is that if you don't know where you're going to eat, sleep, or live, how do you flourish? Let's remove that barrier and make sure that that's taken care of. And now we can focus on the next step of your development, your support, so that you can be an active, engaged community member without having to worry about where you're going to sleep. Our young people don't utilize adult-based services. When you're 18, it doesn't mean you think like a 40-year-old, which is in my area, right? You avoid some of those systems because they're not catered, designed, or planned to serve you. This is our first step in that direction, to create something that will serve them well, that will be very intentional, that will get them to that next step, and overall, preventing that cycle of entering into adult unhoused or homelessness issues and challenges, so that we break that cycle. So my appreciation goes to the work that got done, those in the community, A New Day Inc., YDI Youth Development Incorporated. We have partners who've been doing this work for a long time, and they gave us the feedback for what we needed to do next. I felt honored just to be part of the process to get us to that next step, and so now we move forward with it, with the funding, with our investors. Thank you so much, Council. We get to do the fun work now, which is the development and design, and so we look forward to that. Thank you.
All right, folks, we have time for a couple of questions. Anybody have any questions? No?
Do you have a timeline yet on when this project will get started and when it may
So, we're definitely in the phases of early infrastructure design. You know, there's always abatement and construction issues, and we've learned a lot from that. Without a doubt, we have an aggressive timeline to try and have something in place by the summer of 25. So, we're going to be pushing hard. Now, I will say, because we've been a part of a few of these, construction could push that out. But internally, we have set that as a goal this time next year to hopefully have something up and in place.
Is there a certain criteria that these young adults are going to have to meet to be able to participate in this opportunity?
Yeah, no worries. You know, we've got partners here who've actually been doing this a long time. And so as we're designing the criteria and the intake, we're really going to work with them to give us the feedback as what that is. Not only that, we're in the stages now of creating the operational RFP for who would be the best fit to operationalize this and give us that feedback. So I don't want to actually just say, yes, and here's the criteria. We want to incorporate that criteria. We know what the need is. Young children of color, young adults of color, our LGBTQ communities, they're all not being served very well in this spectrum. So what are the steps we need to take to make sure this extends itself to those populations who need it most? And our professionals are the ones who are going to tell us that, and we will cater the RFP to that.
If that's all for questions, we're going to kind of ceremonially open the doors here.
Open the door.
Yeah. So what we'll do, you know, when you buy a building, you get the keys. And interestingly, when I became mayor, I asked for the keys for the city. They gave me all of them, and it was kind of a joke because, you know, there was like 70, and they're not even labeled, and, you know, anyway. So I think I have the right one, is the point. So anyway, let's maybe quickly just reel this out if our crew can help. Thank you. And then if you guys want to scoot in, just go ahead and scoot in a little bit just for a picture. All right, just leave that way. Then we'll do a countdown. All right, 3,
2, 1.
Good job.
It's nice. Come on in.
I know, you guys want to see the lobby real quick.